Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pert.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today? Good. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things I'm talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. He'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. They'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We
It's
have
time
arrived.
to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We
It's
have
time
arrived.
to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to
First
demand the
Contact
truth.
Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand the truth.
Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Today is Wednesday. We've made it to the middle of the week. Let's take a look and see what's going on out there in the world today as we know it. Today is the 4th of June. So we see right off the bat right here, we have two signs we're dealing with as far as the moon sign. It means we're making a transition from one to the other. Look to the right, it tells us when that transition will make its completion. It's 9:20 a.m. That's Pacific Standard Time, so just in a little more than an hour from right now. So we're making that transition. We're going from Leo, which is a fire sign, to Virgo, which is an earth sign. So just think about fire and earth in the world where you live and how those two things work together. Okay, earth. When you think about earth, think about form, the things we create. When you think about fire, think about ideas. So ideas and form, okay? Use those as the keywords. So we're making a transition from our ideas about how things to the form of things. Now, with this sign of Virgo, we have analysis. Okay, the keyword that would go with this is to analyze something, look into it, investigate what's really ticking there. The tarot card that would represent Virgo is the card of the Hermit. And the Hermit is the one who walks away, goes to solitude, not in order to just for the sake of being alone, but to go and to get some wisdom. Here's the Hermit. The Hermit goes away to gather some wisdom and then comes back holding the lantern high for everyone to see. The color gray is a neutral color. It's not black, it's not white. It shows that it's a combination of a balance between the two. But of course the lantern, the light, has the yellowness to it, which is intelligence, the intellect, the mind. So the Hermit is shining brightly what has been learned. Patience and timing are two of the lessons involved with this card. And of course, again, it represents Virgo. So looking on further, we're moving into a Virgo moon. Our moon is our subconscious, so our subconscious thoughts are going to be dealing with these ideas of analyzing what's going on underneath the surface, looking deeper. Okay, our subconscious mind wants to know a little bit more of why things are going on, what's happening. What is happening? Then the sun, of course, is in Gemini, which we know is the lovers. The lovers, all about communication, discernment, the Hebrew letter Zayin, about sword, discerning. All right, then we look at some of the others here. We have a sextile going on between Venus and Neptune. And we know that from what we know about the sextiles, it's a nice, good, positive, harmonious energy between the two, kind of like a trine. It means represents that there's good opportunities going on there, and it's happening about now. Venus is imagination. Neptune is looking things from a new perspective. Okay, if you think about Neptune, think about the idea of water. Okay, think about the idea of water, Neptune. And so with Neptune and the water, imagine when you're looking through the water, you don't always see things so clearly. Things can be a little bit illusional, right? Because the water moves around. So that's the idea inherent here, that you're looking through something that might not give you the clearest perspective on what you're seeing. So it says, look at things in a different way. don't just look at them in the same way. And so when we apply the idea of Venus into that, Venus is about imagination, love. It represents the tarot card of the Empress. It's telling us use our imagination to look at things in a positive way, in a new way. And being that there's this sextile here, that's a nice, good, positive energy, and opportunity is there, that's the opportunity we have at hand to look at things a little differently, change our perspective. And sometimes that makes all the difference in the world. And of course, we see that we have the Virgo moon coming up slightly after 9. And then later this afternoon, we have another sextile we're dealing with. And this is between the moon, which at that time will be Virgo, and Mercury. Virgo and Mercury. So if we look at the ideas, Virgo, analyzing, get to the bottom of things, good positive energy with Mercury, Mercury the mind, communication. So there's a tendency and a desire that is inherent here in wanting to get to the bottom of what's going on with the way in which we communicate. Okay. Here we're looking at things from a different perspective with using our imagination. Here we're actually using our ability to communicate in our mind in analyzing what's going on. So for what's going on in the world, what's going on here in America, these are good ways, good signs, because we're going to analyze now what's taking place, what really is happening. A lot of things have taken place. Maybe we've been under the illusion, so now we're going to look at things a little bit differently. All right, go over here, just if you want, for the ephemeris, just see what's going on here, the 4th. Anything particular to be aware of here? See where our moons are. Moon's going Virgo. Anything? Okay. Nothing here that jumps out any really different from yesterday. Okay. If we go over to our zodiac, we could see, again, this is just put everything in place of where things are. So if we go back here and we look and we see our moon is in Virgo, we can take a look and see this is the house of Virgo here, dealing with work, with health. So our moon sign, which is a subconscious, is in this area here. Okay, if we want to take and look at some of these others, we could see that, where we were coming from was Leo. The moon was in Leo, and so we could see how that is making its way here. We were dealing with these ideas of the arts of love, and now we're going to move into work and health. And continuing around, the moon will continue this way. Next will be in Libra, then Scorpio, and so on. All right. Numerology for today. Today is a 8-tone day. So let me show you how we arrived at that. You should have the hang of this by now. It's you take the years, or the day 6, the month, the day, the 4th, and the year 2014. Add them all together. It's a 17. 1 plus 7 equals 8. It's called theosophic subtraction, and we're reducing down to one number, 8. 8 is authoritative, business-minded, leaders. It can be cruel and sensitive. 8 is the number of infinity. Here we have 8, which is the card of strength, righteousness, how we use our energy, the right useness of the energy, letting our subconscious mind balance out our conscious mind, taming the animal nature within ourselves. Okay, there's a tendency with what's going on in the world to want to be angry and upset, but that really doesn't do anybody any good. We need to continue to keep our focus on what is at stake. We're told that the worlds have split. We are now focusing on where we want to be. Do we want to be on the world that's falling apart and where the wars are? Or do we want to be in this new place where everything is good, the new earth, the new heaven, the new earth? If that's the case, we have to let the old patterns go. And the old patterns might be those patterns of getting angry and upset about things that we used to get angry and upset about. That just keeps the wars going on this planet when we do that. We have to find a way to stop. And there's some real intense things in the world where we could really get mad and angry about. And rightly so, because there's been a lot of injustice. But if you look throughout history, we could see there's been a lot of injustice every single year that comes out of world governments and in individual governments and structures within. Systems keep falling apart. So if we look and we really take to heart what has been told to us through all of these different messages we're hearing, the channeled messages, the teachings, the book of Revelation, the other spiritual books, we could see that this change is par for the course. And either we can continue to get angry and live in that world, or we turn our attention, we turn our righteousness or the right useness of the way we're going to use our energy in a way that's going to be more effective, which we have to look at things differently. Okay, we have to find a different way to handle the situations so as we don't keep perpetuating the war, while at the same time bringing to justice those things that are out of line, finding a way to correct those. So that's where our new perspectives comes in. Look at things differently. How could we do things differently this time to eliminate the problems of the future? Okay, Tree of Life. We can see here the 8 right here for today, the Strength. Here we have the card of the Sun sign Gemini, and then the card of the Moon sign Virgo is down here, going from Mercy to the Heart. Okay, Wisdom. This is the pillar of Mercy. What you have here is a situation where you've learned something, gained wisdom on it, and we're reminded to be merciful, humble, and that from that humility of what we've learned patience and timing, and the Hermit's going to use that insight, that wisdom, to go back to the heart and then shine brightly what was learned so others can benefit from it as well. The current moon phase is making its way up to a full moon. We're 39% of the way there. It's a waxing moon. Again, waxing means going up. Waning means going down. Just think of Karate Kid. Wax on, wane off. Wax up, wane down. When you're looking at the sky tonight, what you will see is this here. Since the moon is going out of Leo, we could see it moving over here. And next we'll see Virgo up here in this area. It says as stars come out, Regulus and the sickle of Leo are now upper right of the moon. The Mayan Oracle, we're at a 9-tone day. 9 is called the solar tone of intention. The intention of what we want. So we have the intention, and here we have the kin for today. The kin is all about synchronicity and navigation. So it's the intention of navigation guided by exploration. And then inspiration, the wind, is our like-minded energy. Our challenge for today is the hand. Our ability to accomplish. Remember, the hand can heal or kill. So we have to understand how we're going to use our hands to do whatever we're going to do. And the hidden power is our ability to plant a seed, to grow, to flower. Put all this together, and here we are. We're in the 9th position here, and the wave spell of the moon, purification. We're at an initiation day, because red is the color of initiation. We have an intention of what it is we're wanting to do. We put all this together in a phrase, and it says, I pulse in order to evolve, realizing synchronicity. I seal the matrix of navigation with the solar tone of intention. I am guided by the power of space. Spaceweather.com, our solar wind is 331.2 kilometers per second. Planetary K-index is quiet, between a 1 and a 2. We have one big coronal hole down here that's opening up, but it's not directly facing the Earth, so we're not having any notices that we're going to be affected by this. M-class flare possibility now is up to 15%. It was only 1% yesterday, so something has changed. It's going to hang at that 15% for the next 24 to 48 hours. And in the higher latitudes, we do have a 20 to 30% chance of having some sort of geomagnetic storm activity, which results in things like auroras. Have your cameras ready. You might find some really cool things, images in the sky, bright colors, and so on. All right, over here at the Jewish calendar, today is 6 Sivan, and it's Shavuot is the name of the day. Okay, Shavuot. Shavuot is the time period that we arrive at when we remember, we've been doing the counting of the Omer. So we had the period of time, the Exodus, and then after the Exodus ended, which is the time when we're told that Moses took the Jewish community, the Hebrews, out of Egypt, and they made this trek across the desert. Well, that is the time of counting of the Omer, as they were going across the desert. And at the end of their journey, which was 49 days, 7 weeks, they made it to Mount Sinai. And there on Mount Sinai, they were given the Torah by Moses, or Moses was given the Torah from God, and then Moses gave it to the people. So that is what today is. So if we look a little bit further about what Shavuot is all about, which is exactly what we're going to do, it tells us on the 6th Sivan of the year 2448 from creation, 7 weeks after the Exodus, God revealed himself on Mount Sinai. The entire people of Israel, 600,000 heads of households and their families, as well as the souls of all the future generations of Jews, heard God declare the first 2 of the 10 Commandments and witnessed God's communication with the other 8 through Moses. Following the revelation, Moses ascended the mountain for 40 days to receive the remainder of the Torah from God. At Sinai, God rescinded the decree and divide that had been in force since the second day of creation, separating the spiritual and the physical into 2 hermetic worlds. From this point on, the higher realms could descend into the lower realms, and the lower could ascend into the higher. Thus was born the mitzvah, a physical decree by virtue of the fact that it is commanded by God to bring godliness into the physical world. Okay, if we go down here and we look at some of the laws and the customs, Torah reading for the first day of Shavuot from Exodus 19:20. We'll look at that in a moment. It says the Torah. This Torah we were given is not of the world, nor is it of something extraneous to it. Rather, it is the hidden essence, the primal thought from which all the cosmos and each thing within it extends. It is not about the world, it is the world as the Creator sees it and knows it to be. The sages of the Talmud tell us that the Torah is the blueprint God used to design his creation. There is not a thing that cannot be found there. Even more, they told us that the Torah is far beyond the world, beyond time, beyond any sort of being. God and his Torah are one, for his thoughts are not extraneous to him, nor do they affect any change in him, as do our thoughts. Rather, his thoughts, his wisdom, his desire are all simple oneness that does not change. But he took that infinite wisdom and condensed it 1,000-fold, 1,000,000,000-fold, and more into finite earthly terms that we could grasp, yet without losing a drop of its purity, its intimate bond with him. Then he put it into our hands to learn and explore, to extend. So now, when our mind grasps a thought of Torah thoroughly with utter clarity, we grasp the inner wisdom. And when we are completely absorbed in the process of thought, comprehension, and application, our self and being is grasped by that infinite wisdom, which is the essence of all things. And it grasps us. In truth, we become that essence. All right? So over here it has a little bit more detail if you want to know about Shavuot. It says Shavuot is the festival of weeks, is the second of 3 major festivals with both historical and agriculture significance. The other 2 are Passover and Sukkot. Agriculture, it commemorates a time when the first fruits were harvested and brought to the temple, and is known as Hag Ha-Bikurim, the festival of the first fruits. Historically, it celebrates the giving of the Torah at Mount Sinai, and is also known as Hag Matan Tortenu, the festival of giving out our Torah. The period from Passover to Shavuot is a time of great anticipation. We count each of the days from the second day of Passover to the day before Shavuot. 49 days or 7 full weeks, hence the name of the festival. The counting reminds us of the important connection between Passover and Shavuot. Passover freed us physically from bondage, but the giving of the Torah on Shavuot redeemed us spiritually from our bondage to idolatry and immortality. Shavuot is also known as Pentecost because it falls on the 50th day. However, Shavuot has no particular similarity to the Christian holiday of Pentecost, which occurs 50 days after their spring holiday. Okay. And a little bit more here. Here's a particular calendar of Shavuot and what are the normal customs that are taken during the course of this time. So we're going to take a look here. It says first day is Shavuot. Torah reading, Exodus 19, 1 through 20. So let's take a look at this. Just double check something here. Okay. It says, in the third month of the children of Israel's departure from Egypt, on this day they arrived in the desert of Sinai. They journeyed from Rephidim, and they arrived in the desert of the Sinai, and they encamped in the desert, and Israel encamped there opposite the mountain. Moses ascended the mountain, and the Lord called to him from the mountain, saying, So shall you say to the house of Jacob, and tell the sons of Israel, You have seen what I did to the Egyptians, and how I bore you on eagle's wings, and I brought you to me. And now if you obey me and keep my covenant, you shall be to me a treasure out of all peoples, for mine is the entire earth. And you shall be to me a kingdom of princes and a holy nation. These are the words that you shall speak to the children of Israel. Moses came and summoned the elders of Israel and placed them with these words that the Lord commanded him. And the people replied in unison and said, All that the Lord has spoken we shall do. And Moses took the words of the people back to the Lord. And the Lord said to Moses, Behold, I am coming to you in the thickness of a cloud, in order that the people hear when I speak to you. And they will also believe in you forever. And Moses relayed the words of the people to the Lord. And the Lord said to Moses, Go to the people and prepare them today and tomorrow, that we shall wash their garments. And they shall be prepared for the third day. And on the third day the Lord will descend before the eyes of all people upon Mount Sinai. And you shall set boundaries for the people around, saying, Beware of ascending the mountain or touching its edge. Whoever touches the mountain surely shall be put to death. No hand shall touch it, for he shall be stoned or cast down. Whether a man or beast, he shall not live. When the ram's horn sounds a long drawn-out blast, they may ascend the mountain. So Moses descended from the mountain to the people. He prepared the people. They washed their garments. He said to the people, Be ready for 3 days. Do not go near a woman. It came to pass on the third day, when it was in the morning, that there were thunderclaps and lightning flashes, and a thick cloud was upon the mountain, and a very powerful blast of a shofar, and the entire nation that was in the camp shuddered. Moses brought the people out towards God from the camp, and they stood at the bottom of the mountain. The entire mountain Sinai smoked, because the Lord had descended upon it in fire, and its smoke ascended like a smoke of the kiln, and the entire mountain quaked violently. The sound of the shofar grew increasingly stronger. Moses would speak, and God would answer him with a voice. The Lord descended upon Mount Sinai to the peak of the mountain, and the Lord summoned Moses to the peak. Mountain Moses ascended. The Lord said to Moses, Go down, warn the people, lest they break their formation to go nearer to the Lord, and many of them will fall. And also the priests who would go near to the Lord shall prepare themselves, lest the Lord wreak destruction upon them. And Moses said to the Lord, The people cannot ascend to Mount Sinai, for you warned us, saying, Set boundaries for the mountain and sanctify it. But the Lord said to him, Go, descend, and you shall ascend, and Aaron with you. But the priests and the populace shall not break their formation to ascend to the Lord, lest he wreak havoc and destruction upon them. So Moses went down to the people, and he said this to them. All right, so there you go. That kind of gets us started. There's certainly more to this reading. Check it out on your own. But one of the things about this situation in Shavuot, and you've heard a lot of talk about what happened to Passover. There are those who say the Passover didn't happen this way. There's those who say it did. And, this is a scholarly debate that's been going on for some time. The most important thing to take from this is the stories themselves, because that is where the wisdom is. And the Torah provides information that is on many different levels. You can't take it just for face value. You have to look below the surface to read and understand that it's speaking to you on many, many different levels. And when you do that and look at that in that way, look at it from a new perspective, you start to understand that there is something more than meets the eye. And the discussion about did this happen or did this not happen really kind of fades away, because we're left with the words, we're left with the book, we're left with the information, and that is the important part. All right, there you have it. Gets us started. UFO news is up next. Here we go.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk. Thank you very much. First story. Bright UFO appears over Casino Du Liban, Jounieh Bay, Lebanon. Very interesting footage of a video, footage of a bright light recorded in the night sky above Casino Du Liban, Jounieh Bay, Lebanon. Witness said a bright object high in the sky over a packed town had been recorded and posted online, changing colors, disappearing. It left to the witness and a view. It might be alien. All right, the 1 minute 27-second video, and we do have an image that there's something down here. There it is. Well, no. All right, of course, make this video larger. You'll see it a little bit better. All right, so there's the first one. Next, we're going to move over to California. Interesting footage was allegedly recorded in the night sky above Southern California, Friday, May 30th. 47-second video. Here we have some object, and certainly looks like there's something shining down from it. And it looks, not only is it shining down from it, but it looks like there's some sort of activity taking place within these beam of light. Not sure what that is, and this looks like it's the road, or maybe that's what that is. Maybe it's the road going by, and it's not any kind of beam coming out. Let's take a look back here. Okay, yeah, it's just a road going by. Okay, so very interesting. Check it out. See what you think. Is it real or is it not real? I don't know. But that's why we all look at it together, so we can kind of figure it out. Here we have orbs, hundreds of orbs photographed over the UK. A keen astrologist says he captured a UFO and hundreds of orbs on his camera in the skies between Wakenfield and Knottenley. Jack O'Brien first noticed the unusual lights on photographs he had taken while cycling in April. Businessman Mr. O'Brien took the images close to his home and thought he had captured a shooting star in his camera. But when he looked closely at the photographs, he noticed a number of orbs in the sky. And since then, Mr. O'Brien has been out with his camera most nights and says he has seen hundreds of more lights appearing and then disappearing. He also says he has spotted a UFO and has seen other brightly lit objects, which he describes as looking like children's dot-to-dot pictures moving through the sky. It starts at around 9 p.m. every night and goes until dawn. It's utterly mind-boggling. I've never seen anything like it before. All right. Moving on from the UK, here we have a story about an upcoming notice of a MUFON meeting. MUFON meeting about ET propulsion systems. Well, this author attended a meeting yesterday in Melbourne, Florida at the public library and found it very interesting. There were several who attended, and I heard stories about other UFOs. The speaker last night was Rebecca Renfro, who discussed her observations about two saucer-shaped craft and what she thought would be the propulsion system and how it worked. She also elaborated on being abducted when she was younger, and also saw what she said was a military officer on the craft, which she thought was American. All right. From there, we're going to go over to Topeka, Kansas. Witness reports lights hovering over the trees. Kansas witness at Topeka is hoping there are more witnesses after he stopped his vehicle to watch three lights hovering nearby in the trees about 9:20 p.m. May 27th, according to the MUFON database. The witness said pulled over and watched lights hovering over Lake Shaughnessy a few minutes by the dam. It didn't seem to move. The witness got back in his vehicle, moved to a spot closer to the object. By the time I got to the location, it was gone. Not really sure what it was. Okay, and one last piece. This is California near Camp Pendleton Marine Base. Several witnesses near Camp Pendleton reported groups of UFOs moving in and out of the ocean for more than an hour, according to testimony from one of the 94 cases logged on the Memorial Day weekend from the MUFON database. The reporting witness recalled the events that occurred in the three friends beginning at 8 p.m. after they traveled Trestles Trail, leading to a cliff overlooking the beach, and noticed the lights in the water. We saw a light turn on, and it was just bobbing in the water, the witness stated. And sometime 2 more lights appeared bobbing in the water. We continued to watch for 45 minutes as the lights would turn on, turn off, turn green, and multiply until there were about 13 bobbing in the water. The group decided to go home, but the reporting witness and friend walked away together. And that is our UFO news for today. I'm just kind of moving fast because we've got a lot more to get to. Let's jump over to it now. I'll be right back.
Come into our circle, Great Spirit. Fill our souls with peace.
Okay, let's continue on. So we're going to continue on with the book of Urantia. A little review. Now, you're reading through this, and because I'm only kind of briefing through it, and there's a lot of information if you go back and reread. Basically, we have these Paradise Isles, and outside of the Paradise Isles, we have these concentric rings of the Havona worlds. Some move clockwise, some counterclockwise. Outside of those are 7 super universes. Each one of these super universes has 10 major sectors, and each sector has, what is it? Is it a trillion worlds? One with 12 zeros. Is that a trillion worlds? Inhabitable worlds. Okay, so they're pretty large. And each one of these super universes are ruled over or overseen by 3 members of the Ancient of Days. And then we have the particular super universe that we're in, which is Orvanton. And from there, we're told that the nucleus of Orvanton is the Milky Way galaxy. And also, the headquarters of Orvanton would be called Uversa. That is the headquarters of this particular super universe that we're in. And within the super universes, you have many local universes. And local universes are smaller. They're about 100 constellations. And each one of these local universes is ruled over by one of the creator sons of the order of Michael. The particular local universe that we're in is called Lebanon. And Lebanon has a capital, and the capital is called Salvington. Got it? Okay. Now, we're going to continue on from here, and we're going to look further at these local universes. Okay. Local universes are the creations of the unique paradise creator sons. The creator sons are the makers and rulers of the local universes of time and space. These universe creators and sovereigns are of dual origin, embodying the characteristics of God the Father and God the Son. But each creator son is different from every other. Each is unique in nature as well as in personality. Each is the only begotten son of the perfect deity, ideal of his origin. Creator sons undergo long courses of training before undertaking the work of universe organization. The Paradise Sons of the primary order are the designers, creators, builders, and administrators of their respective domains. The local universes of time and space, the basic creative units of the 7 evolutionary superuniverses. A creator son is permitted to choose the space site of his future cosmic activity, but before he may begin even the physical organization of his universe, he must spend a long period of observation devoted to the study of the efforts of his older brothers in various creations located in the super universe of his projected action. And prior to all of this, the Michael son will have completed his long and unique experience of paradise observation and Havona training. In time, the Creator's Son, in union with the creative daughter of the Infinite Spirit, begins the creation of the numerous universe children. When such a perfect and divine Son has taken possession of the space site of his chosen universe, when the initial problems of the universe materialization and of gross equilibrium have been resolved, when he has formed an effective and cooperative working union with the complemental daughter of the Infinite Spirit, Then do this universe sun and universe spirit initiate that liaison which is designed to give origin to the innumerable hosts of their local universe children. In connection with this event, the creative spirit focalization of the paradise infinite spirit becomes changed in nature, taking on the personal qualities of the mother spirit of a local universe. A local universe is the handiwork of a creator son of the paradise of the order of Michael. It comprises 100 constellations, each embracing 100 systems of inhabited worlds. Each system will eventually contain approximately 1,000 inhabited spheres. The pre-universe manipulations of space, force, and the primordial energies are the work of the paradise master force organizers. But in the super-universe's domain, when emergent energy becomes responsive to local or linear gravity, they retire in favor of the power directors of the super-universes concerned. These power directors function alone in the pre-material and post-force phases of a local universe creation. There is no opportunity for a creator son to begin universe organization until the power directors have effected the mobilization of the space energies sufficiently to provide for a material foundation, literal suns and material spheres for the emerging universe. The local universes are all approximately of the same energy potential, though they differ greatly in physical dimension and may vary in visible matter content from time to time. The power charge, and the potential matter endowment of a local universe are determined by the manipulations of the power directors and their predecessors, as well as by the creator son's activities and by the endowment of the inherent physical control possessed by his creative associate. Creator sons materialize visible matter from pre-existent energy. The first act of physical creation to be completed is the organization of the headquarters world and its 490 satellites. This is immediately followed by the creation of the constellation headquarter worlds. In Lebanon, this requires almost 1,000,000 years. Okay, Lebanon, this is our local universe. A local universe is not composed of a single astronomical system, but of a diverse nebular ancestry that has enough commonness of motion to be adjusted into a contiguous unit. The characteristic space phenomena which sets off each local creation from all others is the presence of the creative spirit. All Lebanon is certainly pervaded by the space presence of the divine minister of Salvington, and such presence just as certainly terminates at the outer borders of our local universe. That which is pervaded by our local universe mother spirit is Lebanon. That which extends beyond her space presence is outside of Lebanon, being the extra Lebanon space regions of the super universe of Arvantan, the local universe is. One or more, even many, such nebulae may be encompassed within the domain of a single local universe, even as Lebanon was physically assembled out of the stellar and planetary progeny of Van Andronover and other nebulae. The spheres of Lebanon are the diverse nebular ancestry, but they all had a certain minimum commonness of space motion, which was so adjusted by the intelligent efforts of the power directors as to produce our present aggregation of space bodies, which travel along together as contiguous unit over the orbits of superuniverse. Such is the constitution of the local star cloud of Lebanon, which today swings in an increasingly settled orbit about the Sagittarius center of that minor sector of Orbiton to which our local creation belongs. Salvington, the headquarters of Lebanon, is situated at exactly the mass energy center of the local universe. But your local universe is not a single astronomic system, though a large system does exist at the physical center. Now, the beginnings of the Andronover Nebula. 987 billion years ago, Associate Force Organizer and then Acting Inspector number 811307 of the Arvantan series, traveling out from Oversa, reported to the Ancient of Days that space conditions were favorable for the initiation of materialization phenomena in a certain sector of the then easily easterly segment of Orvanton. 900 billion, or is that trillion years ago, the Uversa archives testify there was a permit issued by the Uversa Council of Equilibrium to the superuniverse government authorizing the dispatch of a force organizer and staff to the region previously designated by Inspector number 811307. The Orvanton authorities commissioned the original discoverer of this potential universe to execute the mandate of the Ancient of Days, calling for the organization of a new material creation. Basically, it's saying that it was discovered that there was room to put a new universe, new local universe, and that's what was done. 875 billion years ago, the enormous Andronova Nebula, number 876926, was duly initiated. Only the presence of the force organizer and the liaison staff was required to inaugurate the energy whirl, which eventually grew into this vast cyclone of space. Subsequent to the initiation of such nebulae revolutions, the living force organizer simply withdrew at right angles to the plane of the evolutionary disk, and from that time forward, the inherent qualities of energy ensure the progressive and orderly evolution of such a new physical system. And Andronova was established 800 billion years ago. 800 billion years ago, the Andronova creation was well established, as well as the magnificent primary nebulae of Orvanton. As the astronomer of the nearby universe looked out upon this phenomena of space, they saw very little to attract their attention. Gravity estimates made in the adjacent creations indicated that space materializations were taking place in the Andronova regions, but that was all. 600 billion years ago, Andronova attained its height of energy mobilization and mass. The nebula had acquired its maximum of mass. At this time, it was a gigantic circular gas cloud in the shape somewhat of a flattened spheroid. This was the early period of differential mass formation and a varying revolutionary velocity. Gravity and other influences were about to begin their work of converting space gases into organized matter. The nebula becomes spiral, and vast systems of solid matter appear in the gaseous cloud. About the time of the attainment of the maximum of mass, the gravity control of the gaseous content commenced to weaken, and there ensued the stage of gas escapement. The gas streaming forth as two gigantic and distinct arms, which took origin on opposite sides of the mother mass. The rapid revolutions of this enormous central core soon imparted a spiral appearance, and the two projecting as gas streams. The cooling and subsequent condensation of portions of these protruding arms eventually produced their knotted appearance. These dense portions were vast systems and subsystems of physical matter whirling through space in the midst of the gaseous clouds of the nebula, while being held securely within the gravity grasp of the mother wheel. Next comes the era of increased gas escapement from the critical central fugal state preceding sun formation. But the nebula had begun to contract, and the increase of the rate of revolution further lessened gravity control, and ere long the outer gaseous regions began actually to escape from the immediate embrace of the nebular nucleus, passing on into space and to the circuits of irregular outline, returning to the nuclear regions to complete their circuits, and so on. But this was only a temporary stage of nebular progression. The ever-increasing rate of whirling was soon to throw enormous suns off into space on independent circuits. And this is what happened in Andronova ages upon ages ago. The energy wheel grew and grew until it attained its maximum expansion, and then, when contraction set in, it whirled on faster and faster until eventually the critical centrifuge stage was reached, and the great breakup began. The first Andronova sun was born 500 billion years ago and started out on its adventure to the cosmos. 500 billion years ago, the first Andronova sun was born. This blazing streak broke away from the mother gravity grasp and tore out into space on an independent adventure into the cosmos of creation. Its orbit was determined by its path of escape. Such young stars quickly became spherical and start out on their long and eventual careers as the stars of space, excepting terminal nebular nucleus. The vast majority of Arvanton's suns have had an analogous birth. These escaping suns passed through the varied periods of evolution and subsequent universe service. 400 billion years ago began the recaptive period of the Andronover Nebula. Many of the nearby and smaller suns were recaptured as a result of the gradual enlargement and further condensation of the mother nucleus. Very soon, this was inaugurated, the terminal phase of nebular condensation, the period which always predates the final segregation of these immense space aggregations of matter and energy. Soon after this era, Michael began the creation of the universe of Lebanon. The architectural worlds were finished about 5 billion years ago. It was scarcely a million years subsequent to this epoch that Michael of Lebanon, a creator son of paradise, selected this disintegrating nebula as the site of his adventure in universe building. Almost immediately, the architectural worlds of Salvington and the 100 constellation headquarter groups of planets were begun. It required almost a billion years to complete these clusters of specifically created worlds. The local system headquarters planets were construed over a period extending from that time to about 5 billion years ago. All right, and I think we're going to end right there because otherwise it's just going to keep going on and on and on. But we kind of get the idea, right? So basically it was an evolution of how things evolved. Planets, the gases turned into planets, and the planets formed into universals and local universes, and as the local universes evolved and were ready, then they were organized, and here we are. We are in Lebanon. We're in the super universe of Arvanton. We're in the local universe of Lebanon, which is overseen by one of the creator sons of the Order of Michael, and we are on the planet Urantia. Got it? Okay. So there you have it. We have a whole week, or till next Tuesday when we get back into Urantia. So there's plenty of time for you to go over this material. I know I certainly will. And then when we reconvene next Tuesday, we'll move on into the next section, just continuing to describe this. Now, I know a lot of you out there, I'm getting very positive emails and comments from you in this regard. So I'm glad that you are liking this information here. I'm finding it very fascinating as well. I've read through the book a long time ago. I don't think I read through the whole book. I mean, it's a big, thick book, about yay thick. It's pretty fascinating, and it really kind of helps us to think outside the box, doesn't it? To see how much bigger and expansive this universe is from what we are thought to be. And it kind of gives credence to why our astronomers and scientists are continuing to discover more and more, and finding out that there's things that they didn't realize existed because, well, the world's changing. And it's growing and evolving. And if all this exists out there and science has only looked in on what's going on here on Earth, they're really, at a loss for what they're experiencing out there. All right, there you have it. That is today's book of Urantia. All right, the article I want to get here today, this is from In5D. This is about a woman who uses sound to cure anything. It's from Greg Prescott. It says Sherry Edwards is an innovative pioneer in sound technology and has developed voice wave software to cure virtually everything known to man. Imagine using your voice to analyze any medical condition within you. Imagine learning about a physical condition long before you knew it even existed within you. According to Sherry, frequencies are medicine of the future, and by the time you finish this article, you'll agree. Sherry has a condition called otoacoustic emission, where she hears sounds that other people do not. As a child, Sherry assumed that everyone had this ability, but soon realized that her ability was very unique. Sherry is able to decipher physical imbalances within anyone's voice through the sound waves of any given person. For example, Sherry told one man that he needed to get a thyroid checked out. This particular man said he felt fine, but had an impending physical with his physician, who told him that he indeed had a heart issue related to his thyroid, which basically saved his life. Sherry was hired by the U.S. government to develop sound technology in order to diagnose people through their vocal prints. Her website offers free software that can help people find themselves, called a personality profiler, that analyzes your voice and gives you a detailed report on what your voice says about you. I downloaded the software, tried it myself, and to my surprise, the reading was very accurate. I also used it to give Laura Eisenhower a free reading before the In5D Cosmic Awakening in Los Angeles. Laura agreed that this technology was amazing and gave her an accurate reading. All right, and you can have more about this. A couple of nice videos here. And Sherry was a guest on will be a guest on In5D Radio June 9th. So maybe what you might want to do, because that June 9th is coming up in 5 days from now. Would that be on Monday? Today's the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. Yep, Monday. So it gives you time to go through, look over the site some more, watch these videos. There's 2 videos here. Well, let's see. A couple of videos here with Sherry. One's 2 hours long. Go to the site, check out the software, experiment with it, and then Monday you'll be all caught up. So when you listen to their show, you'll be able to understand a little bit more and see how this works. We know sound is very important and has been used throughout time in ways that we here at the present day Earth don't really understand. But it's very real. Look what sound does with music. You know, it affects lots of things, changes things. So very important to understand sound. Okay, that brings us to our channeled message today from Jesus. Here we go.
Jesus.
June 3rd, 2014, by John Smallman.
Jesus.
Here in the spiritual realms, where we are right beside you, in fact, we are watching with delight as you move forward so determinedly towards your inevitable awakening. Signs of the imminence of this long-awaited event can be seen all over the world as more and more of you turn inwards and allow the love that envelopes you all to embrace each one of you personally. Accepting God's loving embrace opens your hearts and dissolves the fear, anger, or resentment to which many have been clinging in order to justify unloving behavior in which they have engaged, or as a result of unloving behavior to which they have been subjected over many lifetimes. This is a time of release, forgiveness, and reconciliation. It has been ongoing for a number of decades and has recently been gathering increased momentum. As we have been telling you repeatedly, you are to awaken. And yet it seems to many of you that nothing is happening, that no progress is being made, and that the lies, deceits, corruptions, and betrayals are continuing as usual, just as they have for all of your recorded history. It seems like that because so much that was hidden is being revealed. Never before has so much that the authorities wished to keep hidden been brought to light and published. Essential change is occurring because of this letting in of the light to formerly dark and well-protected recesses established and maintained by those who would control you. The unloving and self-centered agendas of those in power have always existed and been driven forwards by those who have the most to gain from serving, appeasing, and assisting their masters. Now that is all coming out into the open, and shocking many of you who may be thinking this is surely worse than it has ever been. I assure you it is not, and as more of these dirty secrets continue to be uncovered, the ability to hide the remaining ones weakens. The time for the few to mislead humanity is coming rapidly to an end. Rejoice in this knowledge and remind yourselves regularly of it, because doing so lifts your spirits and strengthens your own personal energy fields, which are inseparably and eternally connected to your Father's divine field of love. By strengthening your own fields you also strengthen that connection so that your awareness of your oneness with all of creation becomes increasingly apparent to you. You begin to feel the love that in every moment envelopes you, and which is always reaching out to you to assist you on your journey towards awakening. And as your ability to feel that love strengthens, so does your awareness that your awakening is imminent and inevitable, further raising your spirits and further intensifying the effect that each one of you has on the collective. To be optimistic is to open your energy field, your heart, to the love in which you have your eternal existence. It is a great antidepressant. You have been told many times, and I shall now repeat it for you yet again, what you are doing is of vital importance in humanity's awakening process. Were it not for your persistent efforts, as you hold your light on high and intend to bring love to every issue and situation, the resistance to awakening would not be fading away as it is. Keep on doing as you have been doing, and know that the effects of your efforts continue to intensify, bringing light into even the darkest of places. The forces of the dark are in disarray. They are in a state of panic, and as a result they are operating independently of each other in last-ditch efforts to save themselves, thus losing the intensity of power that cooperation provides. A united battlefront is way more effective than a multitude of disconnected and uncoordinated attacks, but the dark are now reduced to the latter as their trust in each other disintegrates, leaving them floundering in the dark, a state which for eons they have used effectively to their own advantage, but that now no longer serves them. The lack of trust among them leaves chinks in their armor through which love is flowing. And this is extremely disconcerting for them. When you experience love, you find that it is irresistible, and that is what the vast majority of humanity has been seeking for eons. However, those who chose to engage with the dark, shut out love to intensify the darkness which they thought that they understood and could control. However, the darkness, like all the rest of the illusion, is essentially illusory. In the beginning it did not appear that way because of the intensity with which you established the illusion to make it seem real. But once some of you started refusing to engage with it, or stop giving it credence, you effectively dealt it a mortal blow. Cracks and holes appeared, and through them love is seeping in. It was slow at first, but it is irresistible, and because of that the evidence of corruption on a vast scale, which had never before been admitted to or addressed, is now pouring forth in an endless stream, a shocking dilemma for those who would support the dark, and a shocking wake-up call to nearly everyone else. The foundations and underpinnings of the illusion are collapsing because all of you have chosen to engage with love. Love is real, the illusion is not, which is all that exists. Within the illusion the awakening to love started like a little snowball released to roll downhill, and like a snowball it has been added to and added to as it has rolled. We have been talking for some time now about a tsunami of love, well, right behind it is an avalanche, and that avalanche is unstoppable. Prepare yourselves to be enveloped in its brilliant white light, open yourselves to it, float to its sunlit surface, then get up on your snowboards or skis and glide gloriously across its shining surface in a state of ecstatic enjoyment. The momentum towards your awakening is continuing to build. Embrace the love that enfolds you within it, share it, extend it, and you will experience the sense of knowing that your awakening is indeed imminent. Your loving brother, Jesus.
All right, thank you for the message from Jesus. Good message. And that brings us over to, our meditation for today. So let's close our eyes, take a deep breath, and exhale. Take another deep breath, and exhale again. Take another deep breath, and exhale. And keep breathing in and out slowly, breathing in and out, feeling the rhythm of the oxygen in the air as it moves in and out. And as you do so, contemplate the words of today's affirmation. Each day in some way, I am my own best friend. Each day in some way, I am my own best friend. So imagine yourself now as your own best friend, taking yourself to the movies. And you see yourself entering the movie theater. And you walk in and you find yourself a seat. And the movie comes on. And it's a drama. And as you watch the screen, you see life as you know it today there on the movie screen. And as you see all of the corruption and darkness displayed up there on the screen, at first you become fearful. But then you remember that this is just an illusion. And as you look at the movie screen from another perspective, suddenly you change the meanings you've given to this movie, and you realize it is not a drama, but it is a comedy. And you begin to laugh. You begin to laugh at what is going on because you know it is not real. And as you begin to laugh, other people in the movie theater look at you as if you're crazy. How could you be laughing? This is so serious. And then before you know it, there you are, jumping up inside the movie screen itself, a part of the movie. And there you're running around, laughing, seeing the darkness that's there, laughing at it. And as you laugh at it, the darkness weakens. And then you take your hands and you thrust your hands towards it, and this light shines out from your hands, and it hits the darkness. And the darkness reels back until it dissipates. And you laugh, and you laugh, and you smile, and you look at all the other darkness around, and the darkness cowers away. And you jump off the movie screen back into the theater, and everybody looks at you amazed. And you tell them all, this is just an illusion. There is nothing to fear, for we have the power. We just shine our light bright, and look how the darkness runs. So you imagine yourself walking through the world after having left the theater, and you're walking through the world, and you see things so differently now because you realize this is not the heavy drama we thought it was, but this is a comedy of errors. And the irony and the part that is so funny is how seriously we take everything. And the moment we stop taking it serious, the moment we begin to understand that this darkness, this evil has no hold on us whatsoever. And so one by one we share this wisdom, this laughter with everybody. And as we share this laughter and this wisdom and this way of looking at the world changes quickly. Because we let go of all of the heavy dramas that are being given to us through the media, through the governments, through the institutions that try to keep us down. And as such, we realize they have no power upon us. And they walk away helpless. And as the darkness dissipates, we just send love into that darkness, giving it the opportunity to change its ways. And some of it changes and some of it doesn't matter. Because either way, the darkness is gone and light shines bright. And there we are in the midst of that light. A world of light and love. A world where all the darkness and negativities and doubts and fears are removed. And we live with the opportunity to create more and more laughter, beauty, harmony, peace. So today, imagine yourself going out into the world. Out into the world, experiencing everything the world has to offer. Experiencing all of the stories that are told and the people you meet. And imagine yourself just going through today, finding the humor in all things. Finding the comedy in all things that exist out there, knowing that through your laughter, through looking at things from this perspective, you change the heaviness, you change the effect, and you weaken the darkness. So go forth, my friends. Send forth that power of love, light, and laughter into the world. And dissipate the darkness by taking its power away from it. So just imagine going through the world today, seeing through the illusion, and seeing the comedy for what it is. And as you do so, let's bring our conscious mind back to this moment and the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale, and open your eyes. That's it, my friends. That is our show for today. Just go out and laugh today. Have some fun. Just look at all of this heaviness that's going on and don't take it serious. Because if you think back throughout history, There's always been some sort of drama, some sort of story that we're supposed to get involved in. Don't get involved with it. Understand the bigger picture that God has is not about all of this drama. That's man's interpretation of things and misunderstanding. Understand the bigger picture is about the bigger picture. It's about God has our back, and this universe is set up for us to evolve, to grow in love, light, laughter. Trust these things, my friends. Trust these things. And I know you do. And as we continue to do so, the world will change. And as the world changes, what we ultimately find is the world was always the way it was. We're just looking at it differently. That's it, my friends. Have an awesome day. I'll be back tomorrow with more news and information. Tomorrow we're going to talk about Buddha and some of his stories. That's it. I love you. Talk to you tomorrow. Peace.